What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. It's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, we try to essentially give you a six-figure MBA level worth of investing in financial knowledge. And in this particular community, we seek to thrive, not just to survive. So I want to introduce a very, very special guest. I met this young lady at FinCon 2024 in ATL, and I was blown away by just kind of stuff she was talking about when we were speaking, and also was dope about when I was taking a look at some of her financial content on YouTube. So thank you, Diamond, for coming onto the channel. And how are you doing today? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just introduce myself. My name is Diamond Chanel, and I usually say on my channel we talk about all things money. So I talk about different ways to make money online, different opportunities that there are out there, and also about e-commerce.
Dope. All right, cool. So let's start at the beginning. Who exactly is Diamond Chanel? How would you describe yourself to somebody?
Well, I am. First of all, I'm 27 years old. I'm someone that just loves to create. I love innovation. I love looking at things and reimagining what they could be. I'm a problem solver. I'm a Christian. I'm an African-American woman. And yeah, I believe in small businesses. I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe that God gave us the power to be fruitful and to multiply, not only in a sense of reproducing with children, but to reproduce within our talents and in our gifts. And I believe that we are all interconnected, and our purpose is to help one another in some way, shape, or form. And we're continuously looking to figure out how we personally will do that. So that's how I would describe myself.
I love it. That's dope. Let me ask you this and everything. In regards to just your journey with money and everything, because I've watched a lot of your content and everything. Describe your first relationship with money. I'll say your first memory of money. What was it?
Okay, I'm gonna give you two memories. So my first memory with money in general was when the tooth fairy came and left me $5 under, my pillow for my tooth. So that was my first real interaction with money. However, I'm going to say my first memory when it comes to finances and understanding money was I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my mother drove up to the corner store and she's like, "Hey, Diamond, I want this type of ice cream." She wanted a particular type of ice cream, and let's say she handed me $5. So I went into the store and I looked at the different ice creams, and I remember the one that she wanted was a name brand, but it was something regular like a vanilla. She just wanted a vanilla ice cream. And the second one was off-brand one, and it was like $1.50 difference between the two. So I picked up the off-brand one and I said, "Mom, they were selling the same ice cream for $1.50 more, so I got the cheaper one for you." And I remember she was like, "Good job." And that was my first real memory of understanding the value of money. And I do feel as though that trickled out into my life, where I'm not a flashy person. I never was a name brand type of person, because I'm like, this is the same thing for a different price. And I'm a very practical person. I would love to ask and know the same for you. What was your first experience with money?
I had a few. So most African Americans, I grew up, I still go to church regularly. I grew up obviously around a lot of church folks. And I would say my first memory with money, just growing up as a little kid, I just remember my grandparents always having lots of money. They had the wraparound garage. So they had the wraparound parking lot, with the wraparound driveway with lots of cars in it. I always remember barbecues, lots of food. Every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, there's lots of food. They had a humongous yard where you could play football literally in both sides of the house because their yard was so big. As a little kid, I just remember my grandparents had a lot of money. And I started noticing that as I got older, I just realized they just got very, very poor. To the point where when my grandmother passed, we all was trying to get her essentially to move to my parents retired in North Carolina, to move in with my parents, because my grandmother could have died like a queen. But because of some of the choices that her kids made, my aunts and my uncles, she decided to stay where they were at and essentially try to take care of them. And I can never understand, why is it that my grandmother, who's older, is trying to take care of adult kids? And as a result of that, it just pissed me off, to be honest with you, that my grandfather worked hard his entire life. I'm talking about Chrysler, U.S. military, his body's all broken down. And my grandparents, for lack of a better word, died very poor. And to me, it made no sense. I was like, how in the world is it you can work hard for 50 years and die with nothing. Whereas the Hispanic folks that my grandfather worked in the factories with, and the white people that my grandfather worked in the factory with, they retired, nice houses, big houses. Kids went to private schools. Their grandkids were all professionals and stuff like that. So I was like, something's not right with this. How in the world can you work hard your entire life, not be lazy, and then die with nothing? And it pissed me off. And then also growing up, I got in a lot of fights growing up because of like kind of clothes that I wore, not name brand stuff. I guess we're kind of similar in that respect. I got a lot of fights because of my shoes, because of my coats that I wore. Everybody else is wearing Timberlands. I'm wearing TIMs. Everybody else is mine like Jordan. I'm going to pay less, that kind of stuff. So, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not feeling this, so let me start selling candy in high school so I can become an entrepreneur and start buying my own stuff. So
Wow.
my first car that I ever bought, I bought it selling candy. My first pair of Jordans, my first pair of Timbs, all my Avirex coats, my jerseys, all that stuff. I literally bought them by selling Snickers, Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Jolly Ranchers, Airheads, Snickers, and Blow Pops.
Wow.
So I was always an entrepreneur, always a hustler. So that's my first memory of money. I got sick and tired of seeing people who look like us working
Mhm.
hard their entire life and dying poor. And I got sick of people talking crap about me and my brothers and getting in fights because of what I was wearing. So that was my first memory of money. And that was the result. Thank God I'm a six-figure professional today. So yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. So I want to know how, because you said that you are a father and a husband, how does those two experiences from your childhood affect or influence the way that you then teach your kids about money?
Well, I would say from my grandparents' perspective, it just kind of taught me that you can essentially try to help as many people as possible. But if you don't equip them with the skills, I would say to kind of, and even those skills can sometimes be going to church. Sometimes those skills can be having a relationship with God. Sometimes those skills can be, I would just say, getting financially competent with money. You're going to literally spend what should be your retirement years taking care of adults. And I'm making sure with my kids, I have two very young sons at home right now. I'm making sure with them that daddy is going to be very hard on them about money. I'm going to teach them all the stuff about index funds and S&P 500 and brokerage accounts and SEP IRAs and entrepreneurship and getting an engineering degree or getting a degree in science, technology, and math learning, whatever it is. I'm going to be very hard on them about it. That's one way to shape me. Another way to shape me too is this, I would say, in regards to the, so full disclosure, I'm a mechanical engineer and everything, but I got in a lot of fights growing up. Some of it was because I was always this tall, light skin with brown eyes, so people thought I was soft. And I
Yeah.
had my brothers were a lot smaller than I was. So I was always the brother that was like getting in fights, defending my family members, stuff like that. So as a result of that, when I got old enough, I actually got into like semi-professional boxing and fighting and kickboxing stuff like that. So I've literally diamond fought all over the world in cages and in rings and stuff. So one
Ah,
byproduct of that is that my sons, I'm already teaching them like jujitsu and Muay Thai and boxing and stuff like that. So I guess that's a good thing. But that's kind of been like what I'm learning from my kids. I'm gonna teach them very early on how to have open brokerage accounts. I'm gonna teach them early on how to be financially literate. It's actually funny. I was telling somebody the other day. I started Financipation because this is a business I'm going to give to my sons. So
wow.
I guess that's how I would answer that question, if you will.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And as a husband, at the end of the day, man don't work, man don't eat. I think real men anyway, our jobs on this planet. And I'm sorry if I offended any of my feminist listeners or like that. At the end of the day, I think men we have three purposes: we're supposed to protect our families, protect our communities. Obviously, we're supposed to lead our families, and we're supposed to financially provide for them. So there are times I literally get up in the morning, I'm hurting, and I'm hurting, I'm so tired, but I still take my butt to work. There's times I get off work, and I'm working on my business on the side, which is Financipation, so that eventually I get to the point where corporate America is an option for me. It's not something I have to do. And I would say that's kind of how, as a husband, essentially how it's motivated. It makes me want to work harder and work smarter, if you will.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yep. So how about yourself as a single woman and everything? What's your motivation in regards to that? Because I'm seeing what you're doing on YouTube right now. And I'm kind of running the algorithms in my head based off of the subscribers that you have, and you're doing
Mhm.
pretty well on YouTube. So what was your motivation, Diamond?
Well, my motivation for starting with YouTube, one thing my mother always said was the first thing I told her was I wanted to be a teacher, like as a kid. And so I carry that in my heart. I am someone that is certainly a learner. I love to absorb and research information. And once I research and absorb this information, I just have this tendency to want to then spill out what I've just learned. And that's kind of just what happened when in terms of YouTube, I mean, I have always loved business. I did so many different things. I wanted to be in fashion, so I would create different clothing, and the whole name brand thing came into it. So I remember, like, these jackets would be, it's super expensive, and I'm like, I could make something similar to that. And I would literally go to the fabric store. My grandmother, she taught me how to sew, and she bought me this sewing machine. And so she's also very creative, and she works for her hands, and she builds a lot. And so I think I got that portion from her, and I would just love to like cut things up, build it. And then I started to learn about how to create websites, and I would create my own little fashion clothing line. I have a store called Diamond Chanel Co. And that's where my love really began when it came to business. It really just came out of a place of creativity and knowledge, and then wanting to tell other people how I was doing what I've done, and also share that with other people. And I became the person in the family that knew more about technology and dealing with the web. And I wouldn't say that I'm really a techie person, not entirely, but I knew how to maneuver the internet. And so when my mom, she started her credit business, just she turned on the camera one day and she put her first video out on Facebook. It was supposed to be for friends and family, and she got 3 million views in the first week. It was crazy. And so from there, we start strategizing. Like, I'm like, Mom, we need to capitalize off of this. And so I started to learn these different things. And I've also always, my family were real estate investors. So I remember being young and painting, pulling up carpets, doing all these things. And they kind of had us always involved within the business somehow, some way. So I always helped my mother and paired with my mother when it came to business. So the things that I learned more so about like setting up websites, doing email marketing, doing digital marketing, Facebook groups, were things that I started to teach on Facebook as well. And from there, I started my YouTube channel to talk about that. And I really cared about generational wealth and Black wealth. And that was something that was dear to my heart. I created this t-shirt line called Black Wealth Matters. And so I started to talk about topics around why we are so far behind as African Americans, and that entrepreneurship, and honestly, in my belief, capitalism is actually a way for us to have a better financial economic system between ourselves. And so I started to just talk about how we as Black people need to have businesses. We need to be in entrepreneurship. We need to be playing a part in the barter system. And then from there, I went over to YouTube, and I started to kind of test out with different topics. I started to do like gig work, and I did gig work because I was a broke college student, but I started to record myself while I did that. And I learned a lot of different principles that set my mind apart from working, let's say, an hourly wage to maybe now, even when it came to DoorDash, and this was when DoorDash first came out, that I started to play with, okay, if I don't get $1 per mileage, I'm not accepting the order because it's not worth it for me. So just understanding different principles there, and understanding that if something happens to my vehicle, I'm at risk and I can't make money. But that was exciting to me to know that I had that type of independence, and that just rolled over to the things I would talk about on YouTube. I know that was a little long-winded, but
I love it. That's absolutely beautiful, Diamond. Seriously, how
yeah.
did you do you come from a family of entrepreneurs? I'm curious.
Yes, for sure. My grandparents, now I'm not going to say they were successful entrepreneurs, but they worked the 9 to 5 job. And on the side, they were always taught, they came from Alabama. So they have this deep rooted fear, definitely, of ever going broke again and ever being in poverty again. And so they were always taught to buy a house. And that looked a lot different, obviously, in their time than what it does for us now. But they both retired, so they worked their full careers and retired. But they bought real estate together, and their first house was somewhere in Somerset, New Jersey. Then they bought another property. Then they bought a property in North New Jersey. They bought a 6-family house. And so we were always in the building, and there was something always happening, and there was a lot of struggles there. I can't say that it was the most lucrative thing at the time, but it built wealth for sure. And then my mother ended up getting her first property at the age of 21. And she had a 3-family. So we lived in the one unit downstairs, and then she rented out the other 2. And so I kind of understood that concept of needing to have wealth. And they always talked about wanting to leave those properties to the grandkids. It's about 15 of us. So that was something that they dearly wanted in their heart for sure. And then my grandfather owned multiple houses. So I understood that concept for sure. And they always did other side hustles. They definitely are entrepreneurial spirited.
I love it. I love it. And I love exactly what you said. I agree so much with that. To me, America has its isms. Let's be honest. You got slavery, you got Jim Crow, you got mass incarceration, the war on drugs, redlining districts, current administration, all kind of stuff. There are so many different things in America that you can say, oh, it's just not fair. What was me? But I will also say this: America, and I constantly tell this to all my boys and all my friends want to listen. This country has 20% of the world's millionaires reside in the United States of America. Every
Mhm.
year, I think like every hour of every day, another person in America becomes a millionaire because we have this gift called capitalism in America. And whether you want to go the white collar route and just invest your money, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to become a content creators like us, whether you want to do real estate, or whether you want to do kind of all the above, which is what me and you are doing right now.
Mhm.
There are so many ways in America, people, to make money. So as a result of that, I've always thought that the curse of America and the state of America obviously was slavery. But the blessing and the gift of America is that in this country, you can legitimately build just unfathomable amounts of generational wealth. I mean, you can literally go from the projects to being a billionaire. Look no further than Robert
Mhm.
Smith or LeBron James. One guy did it with finance and creating an investment firm. The other guy did it with playing sports. So entrepreneurship to me is king. How do we, based off of your experience and what you think about Diamond, how do you think we can build Black wealth in the Black community? I guess.
So I feel like at the first level, it's having acquiring skills and being able to utilize those skills as a trade. So even I know the word capitalism is a very controversial word to people, but the way that I look at it is the barter system, and the barter system has been in place even in biblical days. And this
Yep.
is the only system that has been the only economic system that has been able to withstand the test of time. And therefore, it's simply I have something of value, you have something of value, we trade. And I believe that within the Black community, specifically because right now, if I'm not mistaken, Black women right now are the highest when it comes to entrepreneurship and building businesses. I believe that.
You guys are number one right now in as far as starting new businesses, and Black people, we're number one in the country right now as far as it's investing into stocks. So we are slowly doing the right thing. Yep.
Right, right. But the thing that concerns me is the Black men that are lacking in that sphere. So I believe in putting back those skills like wood shop, doing these trades and encouraging Black men to earn a skill set that is still valuable. So even here in Texas and in Florida, there is like a huge problem with people not wanting to go into HVAC anymore. And so they're almost paying people to then get these programs or to get, the education so that they can do these things and start these businesses. And so I believe it's just acquiring skills that are in demand, that are valuable, that are self-sustainable. And after that, then creating systems that where these businesses can run themselves and then teaching. And then I also believe that you can't have Black wealth without Black families. So then implementing the fact that we need to have Black families. We need to be cultivating. We need to kind of stop the single motherhoodness that's happening in the baby mama culture, to put it like that. The baby mama culture that's happening here, because if you don't have marriage and if you don't have children, then there is no Black wealth. And so those are, to me, the biggest things that need to happen. And I feel like it needs to happen with the men.
Got you. I could just say this in regards to the trades. I'll start with that one. In the 1970s, my father has two master's degrees. I think out of the U.S. military, he had two. He had in the Army. Every 2 years you get the military, they give you essentially 1 year of college for free. So my father graduated. My father retired from the military at 22 years in. He had 11 years of free college. So actually has two master's degrees. When he was in high school, his professor, one of his guys, constantly told him, "You're not smart enough to go to college. You need to learn a trade." And as a result
Mhm.
of that, my dad promised himself at some point in my life, I'm gonna get like a master's degree. And I'm gonna come back and find this imbecile, and I'm gonna basically just throw my master's degree on the table, so I'm smarter than he is. What was
Yeah.
interesting about that is that I think that's kind of the way, to some extent, America went. Back in the '70s, they were telling Black men in particular, "You're not smart enough to go to college. You need to learn a trade." And the reason why they were doing that was because back then trades did not pay nearly what they pay today, and college degrees paid a lot more than they pay today. So
Absolutely.
I spent some time in the trades myself and working in construction and stuff like that. And I can say with certainty, as a guy who has a mechanical engineer and who has an MBA in finance, The guys, the electricians that I work with, all make over $200,000 a year. The
Hmm.
that I work with all make over $150,000. The plumbers that I work with all make over 100K a year, and these brothers don't got no student loan debt.
That's what I was gonna say. Less debt,
Yeah,
way
no.
less.
So what
Mhm.
happened was they stopped, and also around the 70s and the early 80s, they started taking the trades out of the inner city high schools because they didn't want us to learn the trades, and then they started paying people a lot more. Now what's starting to happen is they're starting to tell people, okay, don't go to. Well, it's starting to slowly happen. They're starting to say, okay, you guys need to start learning trades. And I first got to construction 20 years ago. I always saw brothers and like Hispanic guys on the job sites. Now I only see Latin guys. It's like no brothers. So
Yeah.
I agree with you completely about the trades, and I think that the more of us who go into the trades to some extent, particularly if we compare it with starting our own construction companies, our own electrical consulting companies, or our own HVAC companies, it's going to make us so much money as a group of people. Definitely.
Yes. Yes, I totally agree. And then with tech being, me and my mom was actually discussing this too, where the same innovation that is happening that we see typically in, let's say, white males or whatever like that are coming up with these, or even the Asian community really, that's coming up with these huge tech companies. That same innovation and creativity is in the Black community as well, but the lack of resources, also being told that, hey, you can't do something like that, allowing, especially, nothing wrong with Black women, but financially right now Black women are in a good space. Giving those opportunities to Black men, like to be into STEM, to be into tech, and to start creating these companies, to go into these trades, to me, I feel as though is the answer. And then obviously building families, because if I have 50,000 and you have 50,000 and we have 100,000, and it's difficult to even, it's difficult to try to buy a home by yourself as a single person, right? It's difficult to come up with that down payment to make those mortgage payments. It's difficult to pay rent as a single person, And so I just feel as though two heads are better than one. And then there is no generational wealth without children. And that's like a whole different other thing. But I do believe that we need to bring back family structure, family values, entrepreneurship, creativity, and also to be church and God in the center of all of this, because I think that would lead us in the right direction as a community.
Got you. So let me ask you this then. Uh, a quick little story. I was at a very upscale lounge with some of my boys in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was hanging out with some people. At the time, I was single, and the women that and I was basically hanging out with some girls. And the women that were at the table, basically, they're all bragging about the guys they had in their lives and how much money the guys made or didn't make and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I automatically had kind of tuned out to this conversation because I was just like, all right, this is not really my crowd. Anyway, to make a long story short, they were trashing these dudes because these guys all made, let's just throw out a number, all made under $75,000, and these women all made about 80K. And
Mhm.
when the conversation came to me, at the time, I was making a lot more than 80K, but I made it very clear that, yeah, I'm probably making, I basically told these women I'm only making about 50,000. At that point, they kind of started to try to somewhat ignore me. Later
Yeah.
on, they found out what I really do for a living and kind of what I am actually making. And they went from thinking I was beneath them to wanting to get with me. And I
Mhm.
was like, please get away from me. I don't roll like that. Please. I'm good. I'm going to talk to these people over here. So me and my boy Maurice, we got up and we left and went somewhere else. I'm saying that to say this. These were unfortunately a group of Black women. So
Yeah.
to the brothers that are listening, do you think our women will be comfortable talking to a guy if a woman makes 75,000 and the brother only makes 50,000?
Absolutely. I'm going to say that, and I do understand that being your experience, but you also said that you were in a more classy lounge, right?
This was a slightly more. It was one of those kind of spots where we're like on the 45th floor, overlooking like downtown Jacksonville. So it was somewhat classy, yeah.
Right. So, okay, I want to speak to the fact of, I believe in looking at the whole context of the thing. In environments such as those, there are women that go there looking for men, that they're looking for a higher caliber of a man, right? So you're getting these mindsets of women. I don't believe that that is the mindset of the average Black woman. I believe that that is the mindset of women on Instagram and people that listen to Instagram talking points. As far as I can see, it seems as though, especially Black women, have always kind of dated men no matter what their financial status was. I mean, you can see, why do very, very broke men have like seven baby mothers? Clearly, it's not an issue for them to find and to find women, right? So I don't think that that is the mindset of the average Black woman, though I do believe that it is just embedded in women to want to go after a man that has security and stability. And the way that we tend to measure security and stability is through finances. Now, I think that a lot of this was talking points that kind of went on in the 2020s, where it was almost like this gender war in the Black community. And I always believe that I'm always suspicious of things when
Abs-
it's happening in
Absolutely.
that way.
Absolutely.
And so I felt like that was more of a ploy to keep people separated and not from joining with each other. But when I look at the average experience of a Black woman, especially today, not always, let me not say that. They often date men that they earn more than. And I think that women just earn more at this point because of more opportunities being open. My mindset is not looking for a man at a certain number. I had to tell my friend this one time. It's not looking for a man that's earning six figures and up. It's looking for a man that's generous, because a man that has a lot of money doesn't mean that he's a good character. That doesn't mean he's generous. That doesn't mean he'll give you any more money. There's a lot of men that are very cheap. And so you want a man that is generous and that is a provider and that is of good character and good integrity wherever, but also a man that can sustain himself as well. So wherever that price point is, that also depends on where you're living at. What are your goals for each other and being in a relationship? And I believe in partnerships. So if the guy has 75 and the woman has 85, we have much more together than we do apart anyways. But I don't think that that is the mindset of the average woman, I'll be honest.
Nah, I don't either. I can just say from a guy who dated a lot and lived as a bachelor in multiple cities. I was always kind of blessed because I went into careers that always kind of allowed me to be more, to say, on the higher end of that quote unquote socioeconomic status. And when women would ask me that question, I wouldn't necessarily lie to them. I made it very clear that whatever number I told them was never anywhere close to what I actually made. And it was always kind of funny seeing what their reactions were, because what I learned very quickly is this: it has nothing to do with how much money you make. It's what you do with what you make. Take a look at any professional athlete, any singer and person like that, or any actor. They can literally make $25 million for a role and be dead broke a year or two after they retire, or after they can no longer be in movies anymore. So I always tell women, look, don't worry about how much money the man necessarily makes. What does he do with what he makes? Is he invested? Is he business savvy? Is he smart with his money and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One other thing, if I said that the average Black man in America today does make more than the average Black woman, and I showed you the statistics about it, would you actually believe those numbers? Or
Yeah, sure, I would believe those numbers.
all right, 10-4. I'm saying that for this reason. You made a very good point. The reason why I think our community to some extent is struggling is for one very simple reason. When Afro-Latinos, like dark-skinned Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, come to America, they get married, they stay married. When
Mm-hmm.
dark-skinned Indians from like Bangladesh, like that, come to America, they get married, they stay married. When Africans from like Nigeria and places like that, they come to America, they get married and they stay married.
Right.
And every study shows that married couples on average have 35 times more wealth than single people. So for all my people that are listening, this BS that you're seeing on social media about red pill versus the feminists and the blue pill community and all these other losers and these beta male manosphere types and these weird feminist type chicks, they're telling you to basically buy a dog and die alone. Please ignore that crap. It's keeping us poor. And the way they kept us pretty much down during slavery was they destroyed the Black family. That's exactly what a lot of this gender war crap is doing, in my opinion. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree, totally agree. So yeah, and like you said, when people of African descent, or let's say darker skinned people, even African immigrants, when they come here, they still marry. They might have, a family elsewhere.
Yeah. I was understood.
You know,
I've seen it. Yeah, exactly.
absolutely, and they also go for different jobs. There's one thing for sure. When I was in school, I went to Rutgers University and I went for supply chain management. And so when I took all business classes, I was at the campus with the highest Black diversity. And I seen no Black people, but always because I had business classes. So they kind of kept me stuck to one building, depending on your degree. At that point, and I'm like, where's all the Black people at? And one semester I failed a class, so I had to take classes that were not related to my degree for one semester, and I found all the Black people in psychology, all the Black people in getting degrees that
Go ahead, say it.
You know,
Diamond, Diamond, go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it about these degrees.
I was trying to be gentle, but
Yeah,
degrees that are almost useless. That are almost useless. But who I did see in my business classes were Asians, African immigrants that came over here. It, and even when I did see, I must have had one African American guy that was in my class, and we seen each other the entire time until we both graduated. Other than that, and that was it. That was it. There was no African American men or women that were taking like business classes or and I'm not even talking about like taking an entrepreneurship degree. I'm talking about I was in supply chain management, which is a higher and degree when you come out, because I was offered what they want to give me 64,000 and to be a supervisor at 21 years old. You know what I mean? Just because of my degree, but I chose to go the content creation route. But it's just, it's picking these degrees that don't make any sense and getting in all the student loan debt and just doing things that don't make sense, honestly. And so I think that there's a lot of issues to pick apart when it comes to the Black community, but I do think there needs to be more unity and togetherness. I think at the end of the day, finances aside, civilizations are built off of family. And so that has to be the foundation of where we start.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I push back on all my boys that say they never want to get married, or all the girls I know who are like 40 getting divorces and stuff. I'm
Mhm.
like, you don't realize what you're doing to your generational wealth and to your kids. So yeah, the building block of every community is family, and there's a reason why so many different unfortunate other cultures have done so much they possibly can to destroy the Black family. So people, we gotta start getting married again. So yeah, simple
Yes,
as that.
agree.
So let me ask you this. Let's kind of change the subject. We'll come back to some of that stuff a little later in the podcast. But whether it's Etsy, blogging, YouTube, podcasting, TikTok, or some of your e-products, because all this stuff is bad. What are three pieces of advice you would give anyone that wants to get into being a content creator? Because you're kind of doing it across the entire board, Diamond.
Well, so the first piece of advice that I would say is to pick one platform. So when I started out, I was strictly doing YouTube because every platform has its own algorithm. And I do think that YouTube in particular is well, no, sorry, TikTok in particular is going to be the easiest to get views. However, to get more long-standing success, I'm going to say that it's going to be YouTube because of the SEO algorithm, and now they have extra layers of how they push out videos. But stick to one platform at first and learn that platform, because if you're sitting there, you're trying to figure out TikTok, you're trying to figure out Instagram, you're trying to figure this, and this out, then you never really get to hone in and really develop a skill of understanding that platform. That's going to be my first one. My second one is to experiment with different content styles, what feels good to you, because everybody knows that consistency is key, but it's very difficult to be consistent when you don't like what you're doing. And so you have to enjoy the content that you're creating. It has to be and not only enjoyable to you, enjoyable to your watchers. And people can see right through when you hate what you're talking about. You don't really like what you're saying. You're not feeling passionate about what you're saying. And so it has to be something that you enjoy. And then the third one would be, I'm trying to pick something that isn't so cliche. Oh, the third one would be, there's a book that I read, it's called Steal Like an Artist, right? So get inspiration from what works, redo what works, and do it in your own way. So if you see a title that works, I mean, when I talk to creators in my same niche, and I mean people that have way more than me, they're like, oh yeah, I stole your video because I stole your title. Everybody steals each other's titles, everybody steals each other's concepts, but it's about how you then put that out there through your own personality and your own authenticity that makes people stay. So that's going to be my three pieces of advice.
Dope, dope, dope. I love how you said you have to be consistent as well. Like somebody actually hit me up the other day and said, "Where do I go to buy my subscribers?" I do have a monetized channel, full disclosure, just like you do, Diamond. And I
Mm-hmm.
just told the brother straight up, I was like, you know how I buy my subscribers?" He said, "Where do you go?" I was like, "I put out quality content. I
Yes.
did it consistently for years without getting one penny,
Mm-hmm.
and I made sure that my content was fire. That's how I bought my subscribers." I was
Yes.
like, so if you want to basically have a monetized channel, or you basically want to be successful in any business that you do, you have to work extremely hard and extremely smart. And
Yes, and
I didn't sugarcoat it at all.
no, and to put, a lot of people don't know, anytime you run any paid advertisements from your channel, anytime you buy anything, YouTube knows that and will not push you. They do not like that whatsoever. You're better off by simply being organic and getting your subscribers organically. And at this point, genuinely, even when I speak to brands, they don't care about subscriber count. They care about your current views and engagement, because someone can have 1 million subscribers and they're only getting 100,000 on a video. Those are not good numbers compared to how many people that they have subscribed. They want to see that your videos are performing well. I've seen people with 10,000 subscribers, but they have a video that did 200,000 views. That's amazing. That's what they're looking for, and that's what YouTube is looking for as well. So subscribers is not really king at this point. It's more to flex, to tell someone I have 200,000 subscribers, but at the end of the day, what engagement do you have, and how is that, and how is those videos converting to something else that you're trying to go into? So whether that's your business or whatever else. So I don't say look at subscriber count, look at impact that that video is making.
Let me ask you this. Your business model, Diamond, seems to consist of a lot of e-products, but a lot of dope e-products and everything. Based on the businesses that you have, which platform has been the most lucrative? Was it YouTube, Etsy, your PDFs that you do, or something, Instagram or something else?
To put it in order, YouTube was always the most lucrative, the AdSense that we got from that. Secondly would be my digital course, and then third would be PDFs or templates.
Got you, got you. You have a lot of very successful companies and things like that, and business models. Please describe your business models essentially to my audiences and stuff.
Yeah, sure. So you mean personally what I do as a
Mhm.
business model?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So give an e-product or like just brag about yourself, brag about your businesses and stuff like that.
oh, yes, absolutely. So the number one thing that I'm going to say is going to be community. The most successful thing that you can do is make people feel seen, make them feel heard, understand people. And so this is what I always try to do. I'm very big into psych and just really trying to understand the minds of people, what make people motivated, what makes us tick. Understanding those things and then creating products that actually provide a solution for whatever their problem is. So for me, I started off on YouTube talking about passive income because number one, I know that the biggest thing that we want is our time and our independence, and building things that will create you a life of passive income is something that most people would want, and not just for the money, but genuinely for the freedom of time. And so I've been able to build a life based off of my passive income, and so I show people how to do that through my course, how to build a passive income empire. And then through my ebooks, these are something that are easy to create, something that you can give information to. And if you create it one time, someone purchases it over and over and over again, creating passive income through that avenue as well. But the number one thing that I try to do, and I think the number one business model that's going to work right now, is making people feel seen, making them feel heard, understanding them, and trying to build a community as much as possible. So I even started to switch just my intro from we talk about all things money to I show you how, and in this community, bringing people together, we want to thrive and not just survive, because I understand that that's what people want. We don't want just a mediocre life. We want to be able to live a life where we thrive and we're comfortable, and one that is fulfilling, and that's beyond the money. So that's what I would say. Understand your people and create problem solving products that help them.
Got you. And are you perfect? That's a beautiful answer. Are you 100% working for yourself, 100% passive income, or do you still work in corporate?
No, 100% since 2021. So I've been a 100% content creator online, and then I do run other e-commerce businesses. I have a business that I work with my mom, and then I do the back office, everything e-commerce on that side. And so this is how I get my revenue, and then I have brand deals, sponsorships, all these other things like that. So I am fully self-employed at this point, and have been for the last three and a half years or so.
That's a blessing. How'd you go about securing your brand deals and everything? If I guess how'd that come across? How'd that come about?
Number one way, if you want to get brand deals, is that let's say, to give an example, if you do fashion content and you want to be noticed by a particular brand, let's say you want to be noticed by Target, their fashion department, what you need to do is start going into Target and doing try on hauls for free. And eventually, other companies and other businesses will start to see this, and even that business will start to see that, and they will reach out to you because you're proving that you can produce engagement. It's all about producing engagement. It's not about producing views, but can you get people to, number one, move, and can you get people to comment, to like, to share, to do those things? And so I started off by reviewing different websites that would help people make money, reviewing different money making apps. And those say I had one video that did like it must have been did like 50,000 views within the first week or whatever like that. And that was my biggest performing video at the time. I had never seen those numbers before. And that company saw that all these people kept coming to them from my video, and they reached out to me and said, hey, can we pay you to do another video like that? So it's just about going out and targeting the type of sponsorships that you want by aligning yourself with those products, and then they will eventually reach out to you. So I have never reached out to a brand. They have always reached out to me, and it's just because they see the engagement that I get from reviewing things for free. Really, that's what I did at first.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's dope. That's dope. People, she dropping some knowledge in this. By the way, this is a two-way street. So by all means, Diamond, fire any questions you have at me as well. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So I wanted to ask you, I know, how long have you been into content creation? What is your goal with it in general?
So I was always a family member that people were coming to about money, even like in my late teens and stuff like that. Like they're always the ones saying, Chris, what's a index fund or what's a 401k? I was always that guy in my family. I was that person. So even like as like 17, 18, I was always the one people would come to for money. Anyway, after I got my MBA and stuff like that, people kept continually asking me the kind of the same types of questions. So I started a business more or less. And eventually years after that, somebody was like, you should start a YouTube portion of the channel. So I ran because I'm an engineer, I ran the numbers, and like less than 1% of, at the time, like less than 1% of all finance channels were monetized. And me being the kind of guy that I am, I like competition. So I was like, all right, cool. I know for a fact, if I put my mind to this, I can have a monetized channel, particularly because the people who I was giving knowledge to in the real world from my financial consulting business, Financipation, they all thought what I was telling them was fire. So that's kind of more or less how I got into content creation. I've been doing it for a little over basically about 25 months. My wife was 7 months pregnant when I started it.
Wow.
I've been doing it for about 26, 27 months. And it's been nice. I've definitely seen my creative juices flow. I'm very passionate about it. And like you kind of said, I think the YouTube portion of it is probably going to be the most lucrative aspect of it, at least for now, until my e-products get off the ground. I'm about to drop 2 of them right before the end of this year. And that's kind of how long I've been doing content creation, Diamond.
So what is your goal for content creation is to funnel customers into your business?
Yes. So essentially, I get a lot of my one-on-ones to people who reach out to me via my content, and ultimately, I mean, my ultimate goal is kind of do what you're doing. You're 100% passive, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that's the ultimate. Like, I mean, that's the lifestyle goal I would think everybody wants to as a business. Corporate America is cool. I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I love it. I like going to work every day. But I think in America, you want to start businesses, so that's the goal. Start a business.
That's true. That's true. Okay, and I always ask people this too because uh, I know, like in the forefront, we usually put our skills in the forefront of the things that we create businesses around. But what are some things that you are very passionate about as well, outside of business?
Outside of business, I want to see, just I guess on a human level, I want to see the Black community like just do better. Like, I mean, if you study the history of this world, we ran ish like the first, let's say 2000 of the first 4,000 years humans that we know on the planet. Africa was literally it. Europe, Asia, everybody more or less started their roots in Africa. And as late as the Greeks and the Persians, people were still going to Africa to get educated. So why is it today, over like the last 1,500 years, things have changed? So ultimately, I want more people who share our skin tone, share our reflection, to just kind of start doing better in this tremendous gift of capitalism that we have. That's one goal. Two, as a believer of Christ, obviously, I think that more of us need to seriously get back into the church because a lot of, you mentioned earlier, this whole baby mama nonsense is kind of going on. I find it kind of ridiculous because me and you are old enough to the point where our grandmothers still took us to church. Like, I mean, the first time I ever remember getting a spanking was at church, literally. So, I mean, we don't come from a community, for lack of a better word, of hood rats, whores, and thugs. We don't. Our grandfathers they worked like crazy, and our grandmothers were the same way. They were the epitome of classy women.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even think about the 1970s and stuff like that, when you think about women that were gorgeous, generally speaking, Google attracted women from the 60s, 70s, and the 50s. You'll see the Dorothy Danders of the world, the Pam Griers, and stuff like that. So, we come from a race of classy, beautiful, hardworking people. And when I see kind of how people are trying to portray us now, it's nonsense. So I guess that's kind of how I would answer that question, Diamond.
I love that. I can really see you. I don't know if this is the route that you ever thought about taking, but even with your business, going into nonprofit organizations, going into schools, things like that, and bringing forth that knowledge, and especially when it comes to the youth, because I think I have this, I have a theory that at some point, some people are lost cause, right? And I feel like we got to start with the children, with the generation of the future, right? And educating them so that their minds are prepared to be more successful and not to repeat these same mistakes that we see are detrimental to our society right now, or to our community right now. So I could really see you taking your business into like nonprofits, taking it even into churches, like you said, and taking it into organizations and even inner cities. There's a lot. I used to work in an inner city, and I got paid for, I forgot for charter schools, and they're always looking for people to come in and to talk to the youth. I dealt with young girls from freshman year to senior year, and I taught them about retail entrepreneurship, so how to build fashion and beauty businesses, and just teaching them the basic levels of revenue minus expenses equal profit, and understanding that as a foundation, and figuring out how to do that, and how to use social media to start their businesses, because these kids know how to use social media, and if they learned it more as a skill rather than just an outlet, I think that there could be so much more success for the future kids. So I would love to see something like that happening. I'm not sure if it's something that you do.
It's not something that I've done to the extent that I want to. Yes, I do occasionally like walking into just random high schools. Hey, what up? I'm Chris. Let me talk to the kids about money. I have done that sometimes. I'm a senior. I'm basically one step under the C-suite status. I'm currently in corporate America, so I work a lot of hours in corporate. But what's interesting is that yes, in my free time, there have been times I've walked into like multiple, typically high schools that look like us, and just talk to the kids about engineering or about finance and stuff like that. Lately, it's been more finance and stuff. But yeah, that's absolute passion of mine. I thoroughly think that if you can train the next generation, they won't make the mistakes that we did. So absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And I know one of my clients, something that she was doing, what she's very passionate about STEM, and getting STEM into STEM, and teaching about AI to college students to get them prepared for the world, because she's like, I'm afraid that there's not going to be job opportunities because of AI, and how to use AI as a friend and not an enemy to,
Right.
boost your career and be able to make money from it. And one thing that she was doing was she was creating these courses and these lectures and trying to sell them off to big universities. And I'm like, she wasn't having a lot of success with that. It was very difficult. But I'm like, because big universities, they're very stuck in their ways when it comes to their curriculum. They're not going to switch it. They're not going to change it. They really don't care about the performance of the students. They care that you pay them the tuition and you go on about your way, and
Yep.
hopefully take out, a lot of student loans and, things of that nature, so that they can get paid. But I was telling to her, why don't you build up a course and sell this to nonprofits, sell this to even in inner cities where they give a lot of governmental assistance and governmental money into things like this, where they have to spend that money to get educational programs into the schools to teach people. So I was wondering if maybe you could create a course, or something like
Actually, I'm literally in the process. One of the dopest things about FinCon, I finally found the type of production thing that I want to find. So I'm
that.
actually producing a course. Once I drop it later this year, Diamond, I will be reaching out to you for the support.
Yeah, please do. That's awesome. But I can see that. I love that.
Yeah, I will do. At the end of the day, I will be doing that. So You actually got a lot of dope. Like, let me ask you this: how would you make money? Like, how do you say you created a program or a product, I'm sorry, on Etsy? How would you go about selling that? Because I like looking at your channel and stuff like that. You're very big into the make a product, sell a product, make something digitally, sell something, make something that's physical and sell it through your e-commerce stores. How would you go about selling a product on Etsy? I would say.
Well, selling a product with Etsy would be a little bit different. Number one, you need to look at the competitors. You need to see, first of all, is this something that people are even looking for on Etsy? You need to understand the demographic in Etsy. It was originally a platform typically for women. They have, I think, a 70%, female audience for women to find artsy, handcrafted, handmade products, right? So I think looking at the territory, understanding that this is a platform geared towards women and figuring out what can I sell that is going to be geared towards women, and is it going to be a digital product, is it going to be a physical product, understanding your target audience there, but also seeing, is this something that people are even searching for on this platform? If people are not searching for it, then it's not something that you should be selling over there. I am a believer that competition is a good thing. Competition means that there is a demand for that thing. So you need to be doing your research when it comes to Etsy, when it comes to that product there. But you also don't want to be in a space where it's overly saturated, but to niche down. So for an example, something that's big on Etsy or that I see as lucrative is these website templates. Now, instead of just selling a website template, because there's hundreds of thousands of those, you sell a website template to real estate agents. You're finding subsections of people, pairing it with something that people are already searching for, and then crafting as many products as you can to put out there, and then pay for Etsy ads. First, pay for Etsy. Put at least 10 products out there, pay for Etsy ads, and then look at the analytics and see which one of these are getting the most clicks, which one of these are getting the most views, and discard anything that has not gotten any of those things, and only focus your efforts into the things that are actually getting the attention. So that's what I would say for Etsy.
Got you. I know you've produced since I've watched a lot of your content. I know you produce a lot. How many products have you actually produced? Just a rough and dirty number. E-products, stuff that you created. How many products have you actually produced?
Well, I like to create high quality things, so I have
I didn't
I
say
have
they were high quality.
well, yeah, true. Okay. Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I produce many products. I'll be honest, I produce many products. What I sell right now is maybe about 5 products. That's what I'll say.
Got you, got you. And did you have a mentor before you decided to get into being a content creator, or did you just figure it out and learn it kind of like how I did?
I was fortunate enough that me and my mom are on the same journey together, and so we literally have 2-hour calls every day about, hey, this is working, this isn't working. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? You should do your thumbnail like this. You should, So I was fortunate to have someone so close to me be someone collaborating with me, where we are able to drive ideas off of one another. But other than that, everything that I've learned was trial and error, to be honest. And I just believe that if you don't put it out there, let it fail and learn from that experience and figure out how to do it better the next time. And even in that, I started to learn that all of the things that I would have looked at as failures or things that did not work out the way that I wanted it to is actually ways for me to be able to tell other people how to avoid those things, and that makes it more of my expertise and something that I'm able to stand out in my field, where I say, don't do this because I've tried to do that. Don't do it that way. It's not going to work. Do it this way. And so that was just it. It's just life, trial and error. And to be honest, because if I don't say this, and I would be lying, prayer. I ask God, like, hey, I need the next idea. What do I do? What is going? I pray and I just ask God for the next idea, and sometimes it literally just pops up. I record it and put it out, and it does well, and that is my secret sauce there. So
I love it. Yep. If you delight yourself in the Lord, He shall give you the desires of your heart. So true. So true.
absolutely.
We've kind of touched a little bit about around it, but let me ask you this: finance and dating, they legit go hand in hand. So, as a woman, you obviously, I don't believe, struggle in that department. But are men intimidated to date you, or to kind of reach out to you when they see kind of what you're doing on social media? I'm curious.
Um, Well, okay. So I in my previous relationship, I will say that finances was an indirect thing that kind of ended the relationship because of that intimidation. But I think it's less about that and more so because we started when we were younger and kind of grew up together. And then, when you don't see the same success or, those things kind of come in a general sense when I'm dating today, I, I I believe that it's more so about your attitude. And something I had to learn was I have a team. I consider myself, I am a boss in my life. I am a boss in my life. But I had to learn how to mm, be boss lady in one place and be soft lady in another place. And I think that the attitude around it produces better results. So I don't I mean, I'm a humble person anyway. I really don't boast about the things that I have. I remain humble. I don't talk about what I do as much neither. I used to dread even saying that I was a content creator. I would tell people I'm just a social media manager so that I didn't have to, get into the conversation of finances. But something that I say as a woman is I don't discuss my finances with dating partners. I try not to even go too deep into what I do because I've had dates turn into business coaching sessions, and that's not what I would like to do on the first date. So I learned to just tell somebody what I do. They think it's very interesting. They think that it's cool. I don't do too much. I don't go too deep into it, and I also had to learn as a Black woman to not be so hyper independent. So I believe that I absolutely need a man, a partner in my life, that having a male in my life in a romantic sense is highly beneficial to my life. I learned to ask for help as much as possible, whether it's I'm in the store or wherever I am, just remaining my position as a woman to need help, to need to be lifted up, to not have to do everything on my own and not have to be hyper independent. And I think keeping that attitude produces results. So I don't really have issues with that intimidation factor in that sense.
Got you. You made a lot of interesting points. It's funny. My wife, I never actually told her what I made. She didn't find out until like a year after we got married, actually. I never actually said it because I always tell brothers, don't never lead with your wallet because if you do, as soon as the money's gone, she'll be gone. So, I
Mhm.
mean, obviously she kind of saw where I lived, what I drove, kind of how I carried myself. So she said, okay, I don't know I don't know what you make, Chris, but I'm assuming you're doing well. And I never had to never ever had never had to have that conversation with my wife. And it's interesting because I like how you said you know when to be a boss lady and you know when to be a soft lady.
Mhm.
And I can just tell you from being a guy, yeah, that's such a cool thing because and when I was a single dude, I can't tell you how many women I would meet and they would try to make it seem like it was a competition about which one of us made more money. And I told you straight up, I would literally lie about my salary and cut it in half as far as when people ask me what I made. Because I was like, if you're only with me for my money, you're not gonna be here for very long. And
Exactly.
I like how you said that boss lady to soft lady. I think there's definitely some knowledge in that. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, and I wanted to say too, just learning. I think that for the women that are listening, I mean, I look at everything in business terms. So just like if you're going into a business, you have to understand your target audience. If you are a woman, the heterosexual woman that wants to date men, then you need to understand what men like and what men don't like. And I think women tend to have that competition with the, oh, now we're doing this financial competition. I think honestly, in an effort to show that I can be useful to your life, but that's just not the way that men view a woman's usefulness based off of your career. So I've never had a man ever ask me how much I made. The closest,
Ladies, we don't care how much you make. We don't care about
exactly.
that makes literally that does nothing for us. I'll keep it PC.
Exactly. And I learned that men don't actually care. I've never been asked how much I make. The closest question to that is, oh, you do social media? Is there actually money in that? That was probably the closest that I've got to how much do you make. A man has never asked me how much I made. A man never really cared about my career. More so like, wow, that's really interesting. I think you're really intelligent. And that's about it. And they usually don't bring it up much after that versus, hey, did you make any videos today? No, not really. But and the conversations usually don't go to my career. And so I think that again, women try to show their usefulness because that is the way that we look at a man's usefulness is through what he does for work. Can he provide? But a man is not looking at you in that way. So there is no need for to continuously be in competition with him in that way. And I think if you're not in competition, then there is not this level of intimidation or the so-called intimidation there.
Yeah, men, it's quite simple. As we want our women to be fit, feminine, friendly, hopefully childless, and then basically genuinely pleasant to be around. If a woman has that, and in my opinion, she has to be intelligent because after you have sex, you got to be able to talk about just life and content and religion and everything else. If a woman is doing that and she's pleasant to be around, ladies, you're always gonna have guys in your life. And if you take a look at the statistics of women, heterosexual women versus heterosexual men, there's just a lot more women than men. So if a woman is loud and combative and bragging about her money and trying to belittle you, she's going to be single. It's just simple as that. And conversely, if a guy is always leading with his wallet and he's always belittling women, it don't matter how much money he makes. He's not going to attract the kind of women that are worth marrying. Just that's real talk. It's real talk.
Exactly.
All right. Let's keep. I'm liking this. Is a cool conversation. Diamond, it really is. Let's say you had a rich cousin or aunt or long lost family member from Alabama or Mississippi or Florida or Texas, something like that, and they left you $1 million. What would you do with that money? I'm curious.
The first thing I would do is invest it, whether that's going to be, I'm going to invest that in real estate, first of all. That's going to be the first place that I put. I'm going to get commercial real estate, something that can be passed along, something that's going to generate me passive income. As much as I can. And then whatever I have left over, well, not left over, first of all, I have to pay my tithes. I believe in paying my tithes and sowing. After that, investing in real estate. And after that, I do believe in enjoying your money. So I believe in, hey, buying myself a house that I could live in that is sufficient for me, sufficient for a family that I want. And that house also generates wealth as well. So I look at putting it towards real estate and then putting it into the stock market as a secondary form of building wealth. That would be my mindset.
Got you. And they're just going to keep continue to compound generation after generation.
Mm-hmm.
Dope,
Right.
dope. All right, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
So, because I don't see a purpose for an individual or for myself as an individual to hoard money without giving that building something for my children, for my future children, for my future family, and to do that in generations. I just don't see it useful for me to just run up $1 million, you know what I mean, just to spend it on myself. But if it's not going to go towards a lineage, then it's really not purposeful to me.
Got you. Getting married seems to be a very big component of your life, and the typical demographic of my channel is a 25 to 44-year-old married man. So, who would be the ideal guy you would be looking for? I would say, because I got a lot of brothers on this channel that are literally hitting me up right now. Who would be the ideal guy you'd be looking for? I would say.
um Someone stable, someone that loves God, someone that knows how to pray, someone of good character, and someone that is generous, humble, and fun. That's what I would say.
Dope, dope. Love it. I love it. And once again, this is a two-way street, so continue to
Yeah.
fire the questions at me as well.
So sure. So okay, let me ask you the question about the $1 million. What would you say? Because you're much deeper into the investing world. I'm not as abreast with it. I have the basic knowledge. What would you do with that $1 million?
All right, I would give $100,000 to either a church or a charity. I do truly believe that you have to tithe or give money to people less fortunate than you. So $100,000 would immediately go to a church or to a charity. I
Mhm.
put $500,000 into a low cost total stock market index fund, and or the S&P 500. Probably get like a 3 fund strategy, some combination of international index funds versus domestic index funds that are all passively managed, so the expense ratios are low. And I would say the remaining 400,000, I got 2 kids, so $50,000 are going to both their brokerage accounts, and the remaining 300,000 with that, I'd probably throw it into real estate. So that's what I would do with the money. So 300,000 into real estate, $100,000 into my children's brokerage accounts, $500,000 into the stock market, and then the remaining $100,000 I would give the tithes. So yep.
Nice. So okay, I want to ask. I don't want to ask for a 5 year plan because I feel like life is too unpredictable to ask for a 5 year plan. Where do you see yourself and your business in the next year? So go in 2025 November, going into 2026. What would you like for your business to be at?
I would say it's supplanted my corporate American salary. That's where I would like the business to be at. I would say My children's college funds being completely funded to the point where at this point I know that the investments they're making off of it are growing at a point where by the time they turn 18, I'm have to have serious conversations with them about, okay, this is what you're worth. This is how you need to keep what you're worth. These are the kind of individuals you need to avoid. I would also say that you kind of having conversations with my wife about what she wants me to do in regards to where the business should go, how she wants me to approach corporate America, that kind of stuff. That would probably be a little more than 1 year, but that's the ultimate goal that I want to be able to do, Diamond, I would say.
And I'm not sure if you spoke on it yet or not, but what was like, how did you get into the industry that you're in? And what was your first step to learning all of this information? Like if someone wants to know more about investment, like where do they go? What do they do? Where do they start?
Well, the thing about investing is not hard. Like people try to make it sound very complicated. And I do have an MBA in finance, and I'm a mechanical engineer, so I'm very good with numbers, I guess, whatever that means. But it's not hard. Like that's what I always try to tell. Investing is not hard. They use $50 million words to describe $5 concepts. So literally, you can go online, or better, you can listen to Financipation, and I have HSAs 101, index funds 101, mutual funds 101, bonds 101. I have all that kind of stuff where I'm teaching you in very simple terms so that a 9-year-old can understand essentially extremely complicated things that I unfortunately spent $125,000 to learn in grad school.
Okay.
I make it very easy for you. So that's where that's where the desire came from in regards to why I do Financipation. And I kind of told you my backstory about getting in fights growing up and seeing my grandparents get just progressively poorer as they got older, even though my grandfather worked like a dog his whole life. So that's kind of where the passion and everything comes from, Diamond.
So would you recommend that college is still something that's useful to today's generation, so Gen Z coming up? Do you think
I,
would you
I,
invest?
I, I get that question a lot, and I'm going to say yes, but once again, I'm coming from a STEM back. I'm a mechanical engineer. I wouldn't do this. I could literally cuss my boss out, and I would have a job within 1 minute of me putting my resume on them because there are so few mechanical engineers. Unfortunately, it's kind of actually scary, if I were to be honest with you. There's so few engineers in this country. I come from a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics background, though. If you're a STEM major, we have jobs all over the world. Same thing if you're in healthcare, law, or finance. So to me, if you get a degree in science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, law, or finance, you are always going to have a job. So if my kids want to go to college, that's what I'm gonna push them towards. They want to do something else, cool. But you mentioned some majors early in this podcast. Yeah, the people that go into those kind of degrees, those are the ones that complain and cry about not being able to get a job. But whereas um, engineers, math, healthcare professionals,
Yeah.
people that learn trades, we're always are good. So yes, I would advise anybody to go to college. But I'm gonna say if you go to college, get a degree in the fields I talk about: science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, law, or finance. If you don't want to get a degree in those, the military is always an option. Joining the police is always an option. Being an entrepreneur or content creator is always a great option as well. I'll say this as well: regardless of whether you go white collar or blue collar, or you go to college or not, please start a business. Please
Yes.
start a business. That. If there's one thing you take from this, I'm gonna say get a good education and start a business. I'm gonna say that to everybody that's listening.
Yes, yes, so true. Honestly, I genuinely am really worried about what the career sector is really going to look like and the job opportunities are going to look like with the advancement of AI, with the advancement of ChatGPT. I was reading an article today, and January 2026, they're going to roll out a new feature in ChatGPT where it can actually do tasks for you. And it's called ChatGPT Operator, something like that, where it can do scheduling, it can send out emails, it could do these things that like let's say lower level skills are just totally going to be replaced. I look at even when it comes to content writing or when it comes to sales, like just the whole writing industry is almost obliviated because of the
Yeah, yeah.
powers of ChatGPT. I really, and I honestly, I don't know that I know of a solution at this point of what that looks like. I guess you would have to be someone that is essential, someone that ChatGPT could never take over. But I guess this is where investing really would come into and why it's so important to think about the right now. What can I invest in that will grow, that can possibly take care of me later on in life? And I want to know like your opinion on that. Like, what do you think the job market will look like? Let's say for your
So when I first got into engineering, I did primarily design engineering. I literally sat at a desk all day, and I produced. Sorry about that. I did calculations and produced drawings that for like buildings that you would build, for like construction works and stuff like that. What ended up happening with that industry was they started realizing, okay, we can send this to India. They can do it for a fraction of the cost, send it back to America, and we can get American engineers to kind of clean up the English, clean up the code references, clean up the mistakes, and we're good to go. So what ended up happening to that portion of the industry was I quickly realized, okay, there's no money in this. What I started to realize is that you can't send a building to Malaysia. You can't send a very complicated fire sprinkler system to India and essentially have them design it and then bring it back. So I transitioned my career and ended up going like the forensic deposition route. I ended up going the construction superintendent route. I ended up going a different type of engineering because you can't actually you can't outsource that kind of stuff.
Right.
And as a result, I was very strategic with how I decided to do my career. My wife is about 3 classes away from finishing her nursing degree. So I don't
Yeah.
care. There is no such thing as Chat GPT when it comes to delivering a baby or when it comes to basically doing brain surgery.
Yeah.
That's not there is no AI for that. So as a result, I would tell people be very strategic about what you're actually studying if you do decide to go to college. And I also would say don't look at technology as an enemy. Look at it as something that should be learned that you can profit and make money off of, just like you're doing on your channel, Diamond. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the thing. And knowing how there's so many people that I don't know if I'm just like a ChatGPT enthusiast or whatever, but there's so many people that don't know how powerful it is and how it can genuinely like really help you go above and beyond. But at the same time, there's times where I truly believe that also AI cannot stop the human thought, cannot replace human thought. And there are times where I can almost become lazy with just using ChatGPT, where I lose my own creativity and my own personal touch. And when I do it myself, or just refrain from using AI, I think that I could create something that's a lot more extraordinary
I
versus
agree. I agree.
what AI can do. And so I truly believe that people need to learn people, and to be able to think creatively. And that if ChatGPT can't replace you and who you are and your uniqueness. And so that's something that people should really learn, but also to learn how to use it to aid you in these things. And I use ChatGPT to train my assistants, to train, staff members. Like, okay, I still have these staff members because I need them to do the implementation and I want them to put their own spin on it, but also using it where I don't have to spend hours and hours training them on how to do something. I'm like, here, put this script into ChatGPT, send it over to me when you're done, and then I'll look it over, and so definitely making it your friend and not your enemy as much as you possibly can. I think there is still like this looming fear for me in the background. Not so much for myself, but more so for the generations to come and what this will look like. But at some point, some things are inevitable to happen that we can't really stop. And I'm sure humans find a way to adapt and to.
You're gonna have to. Like, I mean, I remember I used to go to Miami and like party and everything. This is before I moved here, before I moved to Miami, and you would see like a line of taxis like all on South Beach and everything,
Yeah.
and to the point where I mean, literally like just a sea of yellow cars. And then when I actually ended up moving to Miami, like 4 years after that, there were no taxis. Why? Because of Uber and everything else. And the taxi drivers fought it. They sued. They sued the city of New York. They sued the city of Miami. They all lost, and them guys all went bankrupt. Whereas I think if they had kind of changed their mindset, it's like, okay, this technology is here and it's coming. How do we adapt? The people that thought that way would have been doing a lot better. And the same thing's gonna happen with ChatGPT. The people who don't know people who are scared of it, don't know how to use it, and they're terrified of it, they're gonna get essentially ran over. Just like people that drove horses and carriages got ran over by people who embrace the automobile. It's the same concept. People embrace it and figure out how to profit off of it.
Agree. That's the biggest thing. It's just that adaptability, because every big business that has ever went out of business was because of technology. The only thing is that technology is advancing so much faster than we've ever seen it before. So you have to be quickly able to adapt. I mean, this is even something that happens on social media. The algorithm changes for certain platforms every day, but you still have to learn how to adapt. And I think having that flexible mindset in the beginning, because I've seen businesses and business owners that get so stuck in their ways, they refuse to adapt. I think out of pride and feeling as though they know more than even like younger generation. where again, just having that flexible mindset of continuously learning and being able to move and to go with the punches. So wherever this goes, because it's something that I've thought about as well when it comes into, like, let's say content creation, with so many changes and even people's tastes changing, how to keep up with that in your sector. But it's just, you just have to adapt. You have to be flexible and to implement those things that are coming in. So that's a really good point that you made there. I think
So
that Uber wanted to buy taxis, didn't they? Or
say that
one of
again.
something.
Yeah, there's something along those lines. At the end of the day, they seriously won. I mean, it's kind of, yeah. Taxis are the horse and carriage, and and Uber, they became, for lack of a better, the modern day automobile. They completely just destroyed that industry, and it is what it is. You got to learn ride with it, or you can get ride with it, or you can get rolled over. It's as simple as that.
So true. So true. Good point. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, we can honestly wrap all night. So let me ask a few more questions. I want to be respectful of your time, but this has been amazing. I always tell you, it's always dope doing collabs with fellow content creators because it's a certain language that we speak that it's just easy to communicate and do this. And me and you could probably talk all night. So keep it moving. Readers are leaders. Diamond, what are 3 books you would advise all of our listeners to read?
Mm, uh, I'm gonna tell you the ones I've read this year. So what is the one? 12 week year. That one, so it talks about condensing what you want to get done within 12 weeks and how to obtain goals by actually measuring them. And I think this is so important because it talks about how people, basically, we get a lot more productive towards the end of the year because it's about meeting that deadline. But if you're constantly putting this deadline for yourself, that's a much shorter time, then you can achieve a lot more. And then Atomic Habits is an amazing one. I need to read that book again. And then there's always like I don't want to give the cliche like the Think and Grow Rich. I'm trying to think of a better one. There's one I've just read called Profit First. Or actually, there's one for content creators. I really love the Think Steal Like an Artist. I really love that book because it teaches you how to find inspiration in anything and to then make it your own to be successful in it. And I think that you have to do that in business a lot. So those are going to be my 3 favorite ones when it comes to like finances.
Dope, dope. Once again, it's a two-way street. Ask the questions
Yes.
as well.
So how many? What would you say that your books that you read, your top 3 books? I'm going to say for this year that you've read.
I would say the Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink. He's a U.S. Navy SEAL. I would advise anybody who wants to get more mentally strong and kind of understand how you can command men in combat. It works exactly the way in corporate America. The same skills that guys use in the battlefield to get their soldiers to fight for them. That's the same stuff I do every day in corporate America. It's literally night and day, whether it's a man or a woman. A caliber driven people, the same kind of things work for you, whether you're in corporate or whether you're on a battlefield. So that's one book. I would say Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Phenomenal book. If you want to learn about index funds, bonds, annuities, trusts, that kind of stuff, Tony Robbins breaks it down in a amazing way. And I would say the last book, we are both African Americans. I would say read the book Black Faces in White Places because it teaches you essentially how to be the only but dominate in those spaces. As a guy who's in finance and is in mechanical engineering who spent some time in construction, I was always the only. I
Right.
mean, always the only. And it
Right.
gets you some interesting places, both socially and every other way, professionally. But at the end of the day, there's a skill to it that I think all minorities need to learn. And I know you said 3. The 4th book I'll tell everybody to read, I would say, is Scholarships: The Golden Road to Scholarships: The Golden Road to Free Money. It's a book essentially talks about how to go to college for free. So I think in this day and age, we're talking about college a lot. That's something that everybody should learn. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna just ask just really quick on the topic of going back to, like you said, I think you said Black Faces and White Places. Is that the book?
That's it.
Which that's the one I have not heard of. I think that it's really interesting. For me, I remember when I was picking colleges. Well, first of all, I had a scholarship to a PWI, so it just was what it was. It's the state school, and I'm like, I'm gonna go where the scholarship is. But I had other friends that went to HBCUs, and there was something that nothing wrong with HBCUs. I think they're wonderful, especially about putting that money back into our community. But the one thing was I just thought that that's just not what the world looks like. And when you go in, it's true. Like you have to be able to. Again, I'm from the suburbs, so this could be something it was never difficult for me to be the only Black girl in a white place, you know. And there's little microaggressive things that people might say, but so what? Everybody has their opinions. I have my opinions on other races, you know, so I don't care that other people have their opinions on mine.
Right.
And you have to learn how to make conversations with people of different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and without having to feel like you're always on guard. I do think that there's certain things that we put in our head that make us feel like I'm rejected before I even ever get rejected. And I just felt like the HBCUs didn't represent what the real world, or not what America looks like, and that you have to learn how to maneuver in those spaces. And there's not many workplaces where it's just African American. But I just want to know your opinion on that because that was always my mindset. Like you have to know how to
Actually,
talk.
well, you're talking to the perfect guy. So I went to an HBCU in undergrad. That's where I got my engineering degree, and I went to PWI in grad school. So that's where I got my MBA. So undergrad engineering, grad school MBA.
Mhm.
Sorry about that. So I would just say it this way. People always ask me, they always say the thing is not the real world. Well, I look at it like this. I knew when I was getting my mechanical engineering degree, I was always going to be the only Black guy at pretty much 90% of the firms that I worked at. So for 4 years of my life, I wanted to know what it felt like to be surrounded by Black greatness. So I went to college with brothers that got full rides at MIT and turned it down because they wanted to study electrical engineering at North Carolina A&T State University. And now these dudes are pulling in over $10 million a year because they own their own electrical engineering firm in Texas. So for 4 years of my life, I got surrounded by that. I mean, I'll be completely honest. There are a lot of very attractive Black women at HBCUs. I did not meet my wife at a HBCU, but for all my ladies that are listening, it's a great place to meet your husband. For all the dudes that are listening, it's a great place to meet attractive, beautiful Black women. And in regards to the thing about it's not the real world, as Black Americans especially, we grow up for the most part around other races. Even if you grow up in the projects, you grow up around white people that are in the projects, you grow up around poor Hispanic people in the projects. So we kind of are always surrounded by other people. So I think that we do know how to act around other groups of people. And for 4 years of your life, it does not hurt you to be around the greatest of the great of your generation of Black folks. And then honestly, when I went to PWI, I didn't see much of a difference at all, to be honest, from a scholastic standpoint. It was the same
Yeah.
stuff. I saw the girls that were druggies, the girls that were floozies. I saw the guys that were druggies. I saw the guys that basically got to college because they were rich and wealthy. And I was at HBC, it was the same way. I didn't see any difference from the quality of the people that were there. But what I did get was I got lifetime commitments. Actually, when I was at FinCon, the guy I stayed with, I met him at A&T. We're lifetime friends. I mean, I've saved his life at least twice. He's probably saved mine at least once as well. So, I
Mhm.
mean, it's like I met lifetime connections at historically Black college. And I would advise anybody, if you get a chance, check it out. I got a full ride to another college, and right before I went to that school, somebody invited me to one of A&T's homecoming games. I got to that campus, was like, oh, I'm absolutely coming here for this. And I mean,
Yeah.
it gave me a world class education. So that's how I would answer that question. I mean,
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think that that's really dope, and I think that if you're already coming out of a multicultural background where you are integrated, and I had people that, let's say, they came from inner cities, they were not integrated with white people at all, and they felt very uncomfortable coming, let's say, into my town and things like that, where we could be at a Chipotle, and they're like, "This feels uncomfortable. We need to leave." Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, "Well, you can't be that." Afraid of other races of people. You have to learn how to integrate with these people. But I do love the points that you made for sure. Even like, just that, like you said, that lifetime of community, lifetime of networking and friendships and things of that nature. That's really beautiful. So that's awesome.
yeah. Plus, I mean, we Black. At the end of the day, we're gonna have to learn how to get around and get along with other people. We make up less
Yeah.
than 15% of the population. I think the Asian community is gonna pass us up in like 2040 as far as we're gonna be the smallest minority group in the country. We have better. I think we know how to get along with other people, and if we don't, we're gonna learn. So yeah.
Yeah, you have to learn that. I wouldn't say a lot, I wouldn't say the majority, but yes, I will say that we have to learn how to move into different spaces and to network in different places without being so uncomfortable. In my opinion. In my opinion.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. One
Yeah.
thing I love about FinCon, I met so many different people who I can use to get better at my content. And I ain't gonna lie, when I'm starting to drop more of my e-products, Diamond, I'm gonna reaching out to you because I see what you're doing on social media. And I'm like, okay, this I can learn from this woman. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna let you know that right now. All right.
Yeah, for sure. Please do. And I wanted to drop something really quick just when it comes to e-products. For those that are listening and thinking, where should I go? I absolutely think that ebooks are going to always be wonderful because they're a quick way to consume information. But something that I really want people to look into as what's really popular right now and what's really lucrative, because even with digital courses, we're seeing kind of digital courses die out when it comes to it. Business to customer side. I think that business to business on digital courses, I think there's a big industry there that is kind of untapped. But right now, people are looking for authenticity, they're looking for community. And I see membership programs like really crushing it. There's a platform that's called school.com. And so if there's anyone that is looking into what type of e-product should I really go into, I really think that building communities and making it a membership program where you're still integrating, let's say having those lectures like a digital course, but getting that reoccurring income is so, so important. So I just want to leave people with that because when you think about it, every time, let's say with a digital course, if you made 100 sales in January, you need to try to make another 100 sales in February. But with membership courses, you made 100 sales in January, those same 100 are still rolling over into the next space. And so there's a lot of new things that are happening. I want people to look up white labels, things that they could kind of do that are already pre-set up. And that's where this whole industry is really starting to push into and really starting to go are these membership community-based programs so that you can get more of that almost a fixed income. And it's extremely helpful, especially when businesses are going into downtime. So I just wanted to leave with that for anybody interested in e-products.
Nice, nice. I'm actually about to drop one of my content creation courses. I'm gonna drop a 3 to 4 hour master finance class where I just kind of walk you through essentially what you would get if you booked 4 hours of one-on-one sessions with me. So that's one product I'm gonna drop. Diamond, definitely. I'll be reaching out to you more about that in
Yeah.
regards to the best way to market it, get into service. I know what program to use for it and all that good stuff. So I see what you're doing on YouTube, and I mean, by all means, you know exactly what you're doing in that respect. So you're the queen of passive income. So I'm gonna be definitely picking your brain about that. And membership programs as well. I do have a blog right now, so I do drop that, and I agree about the recurring income. So I'm gonna be talking to you more about just kind of how to have a membership program. 'Cause I'm assuming you have one, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Nice, 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 nice. All right, we're getting, like I said, me and you could probably rap literally all night. I do want to ask you one last question because I want to be respectful of your time. I'm sorry about that. You're a daughter, an entrepreneur, a content creator, and a great example to Black girls everywhere. When God calls you home and your legacy on earth is past, what do you want your legacy to be?
Hmm. I want to I want to have ignited purpose in other people. That's my main thing. I want to have ignited purpose. I want to have um, really spread the name of God throughout everything that I did to give Him glory through everything that I did. Because at the end of the day, I feel like that is the most important thing. So I want to have brought people closer to Him by finding their purpose and finding the thing that He placed in them to give Him glory again. And that's what I would like.
So I love it. I love it. This has been a phenomenal podcast, Diamond. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal podcast. I mean, yeah, before we go, is there any questions you want to ask me and everything?
I want to ask you, okay, what is, let's say, two pieces of advice that you can give your listeners right now, like the most important pieces of advice that you have?
One, develop a belief in a higher power. Me and you are both Christians, and what's really interesting is that with Financipation, the most successful people I've met have all had a belief in a higher power.
Yes.
And I think I kind of knew that, but I can't tell how many decamillionaires, centimillionaires, and 1 billionaire I've interviewed. And the ones, they all had a belief in a higher power, whether it was Allah, whether it was Jehovah, whether it was Jesus, whether it was Yahweh, whether one was, it was even Krishna, but they had a belief in a higher power. So develop a belief in a higher power. And I would say the second thing I would tell them is kind of there's 2 points. Well, 3 points actually. Find something you're passionate about and work extremely hard at it. I went the white collar route, and went the engineering route because God blessed me with a mind full of numbers. That's the route that I went, and I worked that thing as hard as I possibly could to the point where I started realizing, okay, now I need to start a business with this. And then I would say the last point I would say is find somebody you love and try to make it work with them.
Mm,
it's so easy to do stupid stuff. It's so easy to have your side pieces. It's so easy to do that crap. But I find that the people, particularly the men, I can't speak for women because I'm very clearly not that, but the men that find a woman and they try to make it work with them, those are always the guys that die the happiest. That's something else. My grandfather died surrounded in a house full of grandkids with my grandmother, and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's what I want. I don't want to die that guy in a casket. I got 4 different baby mamas and 3 different women showing up saying, you owe me money. So that's what I would say. Yeah, find somebody to love and make it work. Find something that you believe in, and try to live up to the accordance of that. And I would say find something that you're passionate about and work like crazy and work very hard and very smart. That's the advice I give my listeners. So yeah, I want to say thank you, Diamond, for you coming on. Seriously, this was a dope podcast. I learned a lot, and I'm absolutely going to be bringing you back on the podcast. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was an amazing conversation. And like I said, yes, if at any time you have any panels or any more discussions, I mean, I love doing this. I love the way that you think, and I feel as though we connect on so many different topics. And so very powerful stuff that you're doing. And I wish you more success and growth in your business and everything that you're doing to help the community.
Absolutely. I'm not too proud to beg, so I absolutely reaching out to you about kind of how you got some of the e-products off the ground because I'm going to be dropping one pretty soon. I want to do one per year, perfect it, and drop one per year. So I'll be absolutely reaching out to you about what's the best way to get it to market and make a lot of money off of it and help as many people as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And just to let everybody know where they can find me, and also that is part of my special sauce is to do e-product developments and strategies. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, millennialmoneymaking.com, or you can find my YouTube channel, Diamond Chanel, and you can look in the description box. You'll see my email and every other way that you can reach out to me and get in contact with me.
Dope, dope, dope. Sounds good. Sounds good. That
All
everybody.
right, thank you, Chris.
That everybody, it's your boy Chris. Once again, check out my website, www.therealfinancipation.com. My Instagram is _financipation. You can check out my Spotify, Financipation. My blog is called Financipation. My TikTok is Financipation as well. I'm not giving financial advice on this channel. Make your own decisions based on the thorough independent research that you do for yourself. And this has been a pleasure, Diamond. I really enjoyed this podcast, and I will be bringing you back, okay?
Thank you. God bless.
Let's go. And by all means, if you have any podcasts you want me to say, Chris, I would like your energy on this podcast with some of your friends. By all means, please invite me on. I'll definitely get my perspective from a married guy, a husband, father, and just an entrepreneur as well as a professional. Okay, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly will.
Peace. Take care. Peace. Peace. Bye. Do you think our women will be comfortable talking to a guy if a woman makes 75,000 and the brother only makes 50,000?
Absolutely. I'm going to say that